Baseball is back, and we want to celebrate by slashing the cost of any daily picks packages. That includes a baseball play by 50%, including 5% best bets. This amazing promotion runs from Thursday, April 7th, when 18 of the 30 MLB teams take part in opening day, to midnight on Wednesday, April 13th, and you can get $25 daily packages for $12.50, $29 daily combo packages for $14.50, $35 5% best bets for $17.50, and $39 5% best bet combo package for $19.50. Whether you never bet on MLB or just like discounts, save 50% on baseball picks for the entire first week of the baseball regular season.
Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this or where you are watching this show right now. You're watching Puck Time. Nonetheless, I am Andrew McInnis. I have Carmine Bianco with me, and of course, Don Buster. It is Tuesday, so we do have Buster with us. And Buster, I have set the over-under at 3.5 for disagreements on this show. Sharp money has come flowing in on the over. We'll see how that rolls, though. We'll see what happens with that one. But it's April hockey, guys. Yesterday, 1 game. Today, 14 games. The NHL schedule makers, Carm, they don't really know what they're doing. But, hey, we've got a packed slate today. 4 games, of course, as usual, on Puck Time. Best bets at the end, and plenty more to come here on this show. Before we start this show, Carm, I just wanted to say real quick, it's not something that we always need to address comments and different things like that, because I don't like doing that too often. But what I wanted to mention to people is that it's always better, in my opinion, to buy longer term, whether it's 3 days, 7 days, 1 month, something like that. It's hard to judge people off one play. I did lose my afternoon $9 Monday play in baseball yesterday. It was not a good one. I had an under, and it was an absolute run fest. It was tough to watch, absolutely, and a tough play to have on $9 Monday. But what I ask people is not to judge somebody based on the one play. Unfortunately, that is the case a lot of the time, especially on the Mondays. But I try and let longer term records speak for themselves. And I'm actually back involved in MLB with a big play tonight. So just wanted to clear the air on that. Look, it's one play. I'm here on the show. It did lose. We're on to today, Carm. I'm not worried about just losing one play, although it was $9 Monday. But Carm, you have a 5% play today, Champions League play, soccer action. So tell us about that one.
Yeah, listen, it's we say it's a sprint and not a marathon, and I understand that more people will normally buy on $9 Mondays because it is a better deal. I'll work sometimes with some of my clients or some would-be clients through DMs to try and get them some type of a coupon code for like a 7-day all-access package. So it brings down the price, obviously, to under $10 a day, and try and help them out that way. Because I think if you're going to obviously judge someone, don't judge them on a play, judge them a long term. It's kind of like the 5% plays, in all honesty. They aren't a blue pill. It's our top rated play, but top rated play, I think what happens is social media has somehow conditioned or fooled people into thinking, because you see so many people there, I'm 90% on the year. No one's 90% on the year, unless you're giving out minus 1,000 money lines. So, it's like I said, don't get fooled by sort of the blue pill thing. Practice good money management and learn from your mistakes as you move forward. And I think you'll end up making profit. I see guys in chat, and I've seen the same comment more than a few times, and it is one of the smartest comments you can actually make in our chat, which is, I'm not coming here just to hear what their plays are. I'm here to learn how they're looking at games. Try and get a little bit of knowledge from every single person. We all look at games differently, and this is probably why Buster disagrees with us 7 or 8 times on a show. We're going to have differing opinions because we're looking at games through different lenses. And just pick up on certain things that we're looking at and make it part of your learning experience. There's a lot of novices to NHL, as there are in other sports. So you may not agree with our pick, but maybe agree with some of the things that we're looking at within a game, and make that part of your own handicapping and sort of fine tune that. And hopefully you're making money long term. We're here to try and help you make money, of course. So I think that's the most important thing. Speaking of the guy who disagrees with us all the time, Don Buster, what's going on?
Hello, guys, and it's not all the time. I know we've had when we've agreed, we've actually had a bunch of winners in the last month. So hopefully I can agree with you today. But you said it right, Carmen. I come on here every Tuesday and just basically to try to help people the way I handicap. I talk about streaks a lot, but you know what? I have a base of all kinds of streaks where I could literally, if you gave me a game, I could make that team sound right, like whether under, over, which way. The key to what we do here, what you do, what Andrew does, and what I do, we show which of these are very relevant. And I've proved that over the last 3 years on these Puck Time shows. There's lots of those trends, there's lots of things. So if we could even help you learn like that, lots of times I've said to people on this show, I said, you know what, sometimes not betting a game is just as much of a win as betting that game, right? So if we can show you why each side is that you might want to take, or if we can help you in any way. A lot of guys have their own opinion. A lot of guys on here have, they've been betting probably as long as I have. And there's a lot of guys that have come on here that just found the show, and they're looking to learn how to bet hockey or learn a little bit of what to look for, streaks or, bad spots, good spots, stuff like that. So we are here just to try to help, and that's all we can do. And if guys, want to hate on us, so be it. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that Buster talked about 45 seconds longer than he should have on that spot there, Andrew. But with that said, we got 4 NHL games to discuss tonight, so I hand it the mic back to you, Andrew.
Carm, you're ruthless, man. Oh, man. And Buster, just so you know, none of this was pre-planned, but hey, you're right. When we're all on the same page, I think we do very well. So there's no contrarian play around here, Joe Ranieri. We're going to try and all be on the same page today and find some winners here. Today's games, we are breaking down the St. Louis Blues and the Boston Bruins, Hurricanes and Rangers, Golden Knights, Vancouver Canucks, and last but certainly not least, Tampa Bay Lightning and the Dallas Stars. Let's start with our first game here, the Blues and the Bruins. And the Boston Bruins are minus 150 at home, TD Garden, plus 130 on the road for St. Louis. And the total is at 6 in this one, guys. Taking a look at this contest here, obviously 2 playoff teams, 2 teams that I'd say play the game a little bit different. But you guys know me. I'm a schedule guy. I'm someone that likes to look at where teams have traveled, how many games at home, how many games on the road have they played. And excuse me, this Bruins team's been very busy. They've been playing some elite teams, and they've been a little bit up and down, I guess, as far as goal production goes. You take a look at St. Louis; they're on a win streak right now. They are rolling. They are putting up goals. I've seen 6, 4, 4, 5. They're making it look easy to put up several goals right now. I just look at how kind of wild the schedule has been for the Boston Bruins lately, the different teams that they've played, and just kind of the home and away stretches. I actually like the dog here, guys. I find this might be a hungry spot here for the St. Louis Blues. And hey, we know that expression. Marco D'Angelo preaches it, the whole fat and sassy angle, and I understand that. I use that sometimes. But in this one, I believe we'll still see a hungry Blues team. And honestly, Carm, I just don't like that minus 150 on the Boston Bruins today. So for that reason, I'm going to look towards the St. Louis Blues underdog for me to start off this show with a small lean to the over. How about yourself?
Yeah, you know what? I can't blame you, Andrew. I think the last point you made is probably the one point that that wants to keep me off of this game is the fact that I don't want to. I don't want to lay $1.50 or $1.55, and some places are at $1.60 on the Bruins. I'm not saying they're not deserved of being that price at home, but I don't want to lay it against a St. Louis team that is winning games. When a team like the Blues and they're not just winning games; they're winning games convincingly. You looked at that game. They beat Minnesota, I think 4-3. A couple games back, but then they follow that up with a 6-1 annihilation of the Islanders in a game I thought was going to be a clear under, and I was clearly wrong. No pun intended there, but they just held right over the Islanders, and that's a team that's supposed to be a very good defensive team. And now they're going to Boston, and you look at the Bruins. They lost that game to Washington, and I mentioned on yesterday's show that I thought Washington played a very, very good, a very good defensive game on the heels of playing another very good game on the weekend where they beat Pittsburgh. So I just look at this game, and the Bruins return home. Their last 4 games that they've played, they've lost 2. The other 2 a win to OT, and those are the 2 that they won. I just don't want to lay this price with this team. I don't want to pass on it. I'm almost tempted if there was a little bit more Bruins money coming in, and it's Husso in net as opposed to Binnington. And right now, the neither goalie is confirmed, but it's supposed to be Swayman. The projected are Swayman versus Husso, and I think we're going to see for some of these teams like St. Louis, who is still battling for the number 2 seed in their division, and Boston is still right there. They're battling for that 3 and 2 seed in the Atlantic. That they're not taking any games off. They're not going to backup goalies. So I think we see the starters in this one. I'm almost tempted to take the Blues at this price. If I can get it up to plus 140, plus 145, I'll take them. It's that little bit of extra juice, I think, that makes a difference. And I know some guys might be thinking, well, what's the difference between 145 and 130? Long term, it's a big difference for your bankroll, I have to believe. So with me, I'm staying off the Bruins, and I'll probably lean to a small play on the dog in this one. Buster, can you agree or disagree?
Well, I've already gave out St. Louis as a small play to my clients, so that means I agree. Both these teams have been playing some really good hockey. Boston's 8-3 in their last 11. St. Louis is 7-1 last 8. This is their first meeting between the 2 clubs today, and I have a feeling we will be talking about this game next week because they play next Tuesday as well. So why I like St. Louis? Boston's in that dreaded first home game after a 4-game road trip. Didn't play their best in Washington. And truthfully, I believe Boston's in one of those spots where that whole division's going on, like for the East, they're going from playoff to playoff, like the spots. I'm not too sure how many of those teams. I know Carolina and Florida really want to have that home ice. Team like Boston, who's really good on the road, team like Tampa Bay, I'm not too sure if they're going to prepare for the playoffs more than anything. But this is a bad spot for the Bruins, right? St. Louis has actually won 11 out of their last 16 times in Boston. So that's a stat you want to look at. St. Louis is also motivated in this spot here. Again, even though they've got a little bit of an edge in the playoffs in the West, they're still not in, and they need to win games. I like the way they've been playing. So like I said, we've already gave out a small play with St. Louis at plus 130. If you're betting the over here, the total here, the over actually looks quite good. St. Louis is 11-1-1, last 13 as a road dog to the over. They're 6-0 on the road to the over. The Bruins are 5-1-1 as a favorite on the over. The over gives me pause at 6, and only because I think it's going to be Husso and Swayman tonight, so that gives me pause. But I like St. Louis here. Good spot. They they want the win more. Not sure how much Boston's interested first home. So give me St. Louis at a small price.
All right, that's Don Buster of Sports Memo. And Buster, and I agree, and I know we can find narratives for everything, and you can only beat the teams that they put in front of you. But if you look at the Bruins' schedule over the last couple of months, it has been a lot easier than a lot of the teams right now that are vying for positioning as far as playoffs go. You look at their last 12 wins, 10 of them have come against non-playoff teams. Their 2 wins against playoff teams were against the same team. They beat Tampa Bay twice. For the last 12 wins, they've come against a lot of Columbus, New Jersey, Montreal, Arizona type teams, teams that aren't aren't anywhere close to have been in those 9th or 10th spots that were vying for playoff spots. Again, you can only beat who they put in front of you. It's a narrative, but their schedule has been a lot easier than most teams are. But we'll see what they do over the stretch of the last couple of weeks of this NHL season, starting with tonight, as you said, first game off a 4-game road trip and playing a red-hot St. Louis Blues team. Andrew?
Well, Carmen, I think that's a really great segue for our next game we're going to touch on here with the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers. And the reason why it's a great segue, because, excuse me, at Carolina, you look at who they've played, they're minus 125 tonight. Look at who they've played recently: Anaheim, New York, and Buffalo twice. Throw Montreal in the mix there, and they have not been playing great hockey. The Rangers are plus 105 here at home after the great hockey they've been playing. So it's a very interesting handicap in this one, because we talk about teams that are so skilled playing against below 500 teams, or what you and I have been saying, non-playoff teams. The fact of the matter is, we've also discussed that in the month of April and even in the month of March, there are quote for quote letdown spots. I always say to people, to me, a letdown spot is my opinion, the most realistic cliche handicapping term out there. I don't believe in the look ahead spot. I do, however, believe in the letdown spot. And I'm not saying it's anything good that teams do. It just happens. They play down to the skill level of their team they're playing. This is a wake-up call for the New York Rangers. This is what it is. I mean, the Carolina Hurricanes have been playing subpar hockey. They haven't been playing great defensively. And like I mentioned on yesterday's show, the quotes that I've seen from Rod Brendamore have been very, very serious, almost angrily, he's been very angry, and he is not impressed. His team has an unbelievable record this season. His team is scoring goals. He is not satisfied because they are a solid defensive team, and right now they are not playing well defensively. Guys, in this game in particular, I do like Carolina, but where I'm going to choose to go in this game is the under 5.5. And I'm not someone that goes under on 5.5s that often, especially with, teams that have the offensive firepower of both these clubs. The New York Rangers, 5-1 over Ottawa, 3-0 over Pittsburgh, 3-1 over New Jersey. I mean, they're a team that can win games, but also win it in low-scoring fashion as well. We know how great their decor is. We know how great their goaltending is. Buster, I'm going to go to you in this game, but I thought it was a great segue from Carm, because Carolina, albeit a little bit of a softer schedule recently, have not looked all that impressive. I think this game is a defensive battle. What about you?
Well, I don't know if it's going to make my card, but I actually do like the under 5.5. It's at 5.5 over 20, I believe. So I don't think it's going to get to 6. If it gets to 6, I'm all over the under. But I do like it under. As far as the side, I'll have to give Carmine credit, because he picks the games, and he's picked 4 really nice games and tough handicaps, because there's a lot of ways you can look at these games. So we'll look at this one here. You say you like Carolina. Can't blame you for that. But in saying that, like you said, they've struggled. They're 3-4 in their last 7, and I know you mentioned that they can score goals, and they can, but they've had trouble scoring in their 3-4 these last 7 games. Rangers have been playing great. They're 7-1 and won the last 9. Now, New York won. They just played on March 20th. New York won 2-0. But they were dominated by Carolina that game, and Georgiev. It wasn't even Shesterkin. It was Georgiev that was in net, and he stood on his head, saving 44 shots. But now, and it's kind of just like last week, we talked about the Minnesota-Nashville game, where I had said I had that feeling that Nashville, because of the way Minnesota has a house of horrors at Bridgestone. Well, let's move forward to this week. Not going to say I'm going to go with the Rangers here on this, but MSG has been a house of horrors for Carolina. They're 5-21, last 26. These stats mean something. Whether people believe that or not, I've been doing this 40 years. These stats mean something. And then we've proved it almost every Tuesday on this show about stats like that, as we did last week when Nashville crushed Minnesota. At the end of the day, we can all agree, like I said last week about the Minnesota game, we can all agree Carolina's the better team. What I think, 2 things can happen here. Carolina can find their goal scoring and they can beat them 6-3 like they did the last game, or more than likely, Carolina will struggle like they did because I don't know who's going to be in net. Even if it is Georgiev, he's proved he can beat this club. If he was just Sturkson, he's going to play well at home. So that's why I do lean to the under. The 5.5 is always a tough number, right? So, like I said, or Carolina will dominate again. They've dominated in the last two games they've played this year. But New York will find a way to win, especially at home, because New York's been playing pretty good at home. So as far as the side, those are a couple of things that guys like Mana look at, and you might just want to pass on the side on this one because it's going to be a tough game, and I think it'll all depend on who if the Rangers goaltender plays really well tonight, because Carolina will dominate the game. Doesn't mean that they'll win. As far as the total, like I said, we do like it under 5.5. I'd like it more at 6. I see, like I say, 5.5 over 20. Might play that. Might make my card. Don't really like the side here, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of information on what we're looking at and how we handicap things.
Awesome stuff, Buster. And Carm, you did pick some great games today. Of course, you did have 14 to pick from, but you did pick some great games. What are your thoughts here in this game, Carm? It's a great one.
Yeah, I was going to put the Sabres and the Leafs game on tonight, but nobody wants to discuss minus 400 games or the Leafs. But there's a bunch of very good games, but these seem to be the ones, especially ones with a lot of playoff battles, and those are the ones we want to look at. When you look at Carolina, Andrew, I get your point of a team that is struggling, but you look at Carolina, and when I look at teams, throughout the season, I always look at games, and this is a little different, in sort of like 10 or 15 game packets of how this team is doing. And you look at Carolina, you go back and you look at over 15 games, they went 11-2-2, fantastic record. They follow that up by going 10-3-2, again a very good record. And now their last 15, they're completely struggling, 6-9. But that's expected. A team, not everyone is a Colorado that just has a phenomenal season. And Carolina's having a very good season. But at some point, every good team goes through a period where they are going to struggle. And that is this Carolina team. Whether you think they're crawling to the line or not, their last couple of games, last 2-3 games, they've started to look a little bit better defensively. They lost that 2-1 game to the Islanders, where the Islanders just checked them into the ground. They looked much better after that first period against Anaheim and gave them nothing in the second and third periods. But that's a team that you should dominate defensively as well too as offensively. And maybe that's a turning point. Maybe it's a team that plays down to the level of the teams that they're playing, and that's why they struggled against the Sabres in back-to-back games, while they struggled against the Islanders. But they're going to turn it up. This is an Islanders team that they're battling for the Metro and that number 1 seed. And this is probably why they're favored in their spot. You look at the markets, and the markets have not moved since the overnights. They were 125 to start. A couple books have dropped a couple cents, but they're holding firm at minus 125. And if we see the two best goalies that we should see tonight in Anderson and Shesterkin, we likely see an under, as you stated. You look at when they're playing their best hockey, their games are staying under the total. Over these last 15 games, 9-6 to the over while going 6-9. One is correlated to the other. They're not winning because they're not playing well defensively. When they went 10-3-2, their prior 15-game pack that I looked at, they were 10-4-1 to the under because they're winning games 3-1, 4-0. When they play better defensively, they win games and they win low-scoring games. With that in mind, I likely lean to Carolina here. I think this team is a lot better, and they're going to get better even with this recent struggle. And I'm looking at this new sort of next 15 games or the closeout to the regular season, and I think they finish off strong. We see a lot more unders with them. And while 5.5 is a dangerous total to take under the total, I am still going to go with the under here in this one. So a small lean to Carolina and the under 5.5.
Awesome stuff there from both Buster and Carm on this game. It's going to be a great game and lots of great information on both the side and the total. Let's jump right into our next one here with the Vegas Golden Knights and Vancouver Canucks as they go head-to-head again for the third time in just the last week and a half here. Vegas minus 135 on the highway here. Vancouver plus 115 in this one. Of course, the last time these two teams met, it was the second straight game for both of them. And it was Vegas's first game back at home after a road trip. Vancouver was in desperation mode. They won that one 5-1. Totals at 6 here, guys, in this one, of course. And you take a look at some of these injury updates, I guess, and we will see Max Pacioretty back in the lineup tonight. And actually, Mark Stone has been upgraded to questionable versus Vancouver as well. Of course, there are some cap issues for the Vegas Golden Knights, but the Vancouver Canucks playoff hopes are shot. You know, they have not really recognized that or acknowledged that yet because they have continued to play strong hockey. But guys, I believe that Vegas will remember what happened the last meeting between these two clubs. Albeit we saw the Vegas Golden Knights win the game prior to that in a tight one. Vancouver dominated from start to finish. I mean, they had a solid game. They played great throughout the first period. They protected their lead when they had it. They played and got behind the defense. They played very well. But Vegas was clearly in a tough scheduling spot, tough flat spot. If you're someone that looks at that stuff, you definitely recognize that. And I think in this game here, Vegas will know that. They're getting healthier, and they are making that push for the playoffs. They are trying to maintain that playoff position. This game certainly means something to them here. So, Carm, what are your thoughts here in this game? And I take a look here. I just think Vegas is actually a cheap price for them. As much as I respect Vancouver's, effort to end this season, I think it's a good spot for the Knights here.
Yeah, well, the market agrees with you, Andrew. Vegas. I think this game opened up 110 both ways, and it's up at 125, 130, 135 at a few books. And one of the books that I use, that usually the line movements indicate sharper action. It's at 145 right now on this Vegas team. We both liked, and this is the thing, is we both liked Vancouver. I think Prez was on the show and he made a case for how could we possibly like Vancouver against the Vegas Golden Knights, and we did. We liked Vancouver, and they won that game 5-1. So I was pretty happy about our call on that one. I think we're on the same one here. I like Vegas. These V's are getting me. I like Vegas in this spot. They really need to win this one. And listen, I get what you're saying, but I disagree with you on the fact that Vancouver is out of the playoff running because they could run the board and likely squeak in. I don't see that happening. They would need to obviously win tonight to get closer to Vegas and then hope for some help from the teams above. I don't see that happening either, but they haven't given up. They still have some hope, and we'll probably see it on the ice tonight. But I think Vegas is the better team. And with that said, I think Vegas gets the job done tonight. So Vegas for me at this price. And if you like Vegas, and your book has them at anything priced from 125 to 135, I say you take it now because you're going to save about 10 cents at the very least. And long term, saving a little bit of juice is a good thing for your bankroll. Don Buster.
Well, we have our first disagreement of the night, boys. I will be taking Vancouver. I am waiting for it to go a little higher. As you say, Carmine, it was 135. I figured it'll go up to 140, 145. Everybody will be betting Vegas because they have to win, right? But if you look at the games we've just talked about last week, they played twice, went to overtime. Vegas beat them in overtime in Vancouver, and then that was on a Saturday, I believe, and then 3 days later they played in Vegas, and Vancouver dominated and won 5-1. That game, the total was 5.5 over 25 that time, and never did come down. And that was our 5% play that night. So we were quite pleased with, and they got that goal within a minute of the third period, so it was a nice little over for us. But we like Vancouver because you know what? Vegas has only, those two games, Vegas came out in that first period of that first game, and Vancouver, since that time, Vancouver's won all five of the last 6 periods with these clubs. And as you said, Carmine, Vancouver is still alive for the playoffs, and a Boost Boudreau team won't quit. They've won their last 3, and I just think that they're playing a little bit more freely because they're not in that much of pressure. Look, and you mentioned, Andrew, about how Vegas is even thinking of bringing Stone back. You think there's some pressure going on in Vegas? You think the Bears going to keep his job after the year? Probably not. And they might struggle to make the playoffs. They talk about a team that has to win every game because teams like Dallas have a game in hand. I think somebody else has a game in hand on them. And I like Vancouver. It's a contrarian play. And I like Vancouver here. So as far as the total, I like it over. The over is 10-4, last 14 in Vegas. Vancouver's 4-1 the last 5 on 2 days rest to the over. These guys, like I say, with 2 days off, I like Vancouver here because I like the price, and it's going to be a total contrarian play. That's for sure because everybody's going to be on Vegas.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in. I'm just going to jump in quickly, with one final thought, which I missed in talking about earlier. And you look at, those results of those 2 games, obviously Vegas winning that first game in OT and then losing 5-1 at home. That 5-1 game, as much as it looks like Vancouver completely dominated that game, and I was happy we're on the right end of that, Andrew, the final analytical numbers told a different story. The Vegas held the advantage in both 5-on-5 and if you look at, like, if you go to the natural, I think it's hatch stick or natural stick for the analytics stat trick, that site. The final analytical numbers were in Vegas's favor. It's just one of those ones where Brian Leonard always talks about puck luck, and puck luck was definitely in the Canucks' corner in that game. That wasn't a 5-1 game if you look at the final analytics of that. So, with that said, it just lends to the fact that I have to believe that having played 2 games of these 3-game set that these teams are playing over sort of a 1 week or 10-day period, that Vegas has had the better of play in both games and have come out with a split. Vancouver's come out with three valuable points, which is why they're still looking at having a chance to make it into the playoffs. But I think that might end tonight with a Vegas victory.
I wanted to ask you, Buster, because this is different for every sport, but a lot of injuries this year for Vegas. You talk about Pete DeBoer possibly, if he lasts a whole season, could that impact it, a coach, even despite the fact they haven't had a full healthy roster when what feels like, 70 games this year? I mean, can we blame him on a lot of these losses when they haven't had star power defensemen, forwards throughout the whole season?
Well, as you know, Andrew, in the NHL, those things don't really matter. I'm not saying he's not going anywhere until the end of the season. All I said basically, or meant to say, maybe it didn't come across that way, is that when Vegas doesn't make the playoffs, because they're going to make the playoffs, right? Of course they are, because they got all these great players. They've got, they're Vegas. They're a Stanley Cup favorite, right? But when they don't make the playoffs, all I'm saying, he's not going to be their coach next year. Doesn't matter what the reasons were. He won't be their coach next year. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think they're going to make the playoffs, and then they're going to be a fade. That's what I think, Buster. They're going to squeak in, and then I'm going to bet against.
I like that. I like that.
Make some money doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Our last game here, Buster, I'm going to go right to you with it. Tampa Bay Lightning and the Dallas Stars. Look, I mentioned yesterday on the buy and sell segment, Dallas has a tough schedule coming up for the most part. We're talking about playoff positioning now and who's going to squeak in, who's going to hold that spot. Look, they're plus 125 tonight. Tampa's on the road, minus 145, total at 6 here. And, Dallas, I called them inconsistent. I called them a lot of things, Buster. They won when they needed to against Chicago, but that was Chicago. Now it's Tampa Bay, and it's a Tampa Bay team that was actually struggling for a couple games, to be their true identity. And now they're kind of back a little bit here. I mean, can you see Dallas winning tonight at home? What are your thoughts here?
This this is probably one of the toughest handicaps of the night. And here's the reason why. Because Tampa Bay hasn't played well. Struggling is an understatement, right? They're 5-7 their last 12. I think until they won against Buffalo, I think they'd lost 4 in a row or something like that, right? But Dallas hasn't been playing all that much better either. They are, although they're on the plus side. They've won 5 out of their last 8. Here's the thing: Tampa Bay's 145. Really believe they will have very little interest in this game, and we've talked about this in the past. It's about scheduling. This is going to be one of those one-off road trip for Tampa Bay. They come to Dallas, then they go back home and play 5 home games. Not sure, and they don't look like they've been really interested anyways. It looks like Cooper said, guys, let's play hard. Let's not get any injuries. Let's just get ready to make a run. And wherever we come in the standings, because they really can't, I don't think they can really catch Florida or Carolina, so they know they're just 2-time Stanley Cup champions. So I'm not sure how much interest is here, and especially with Dallas getting that plus money. And Dallas, of course, they're a desperate team. They have a game in hand, and they are in that last spot. But I mean, they're also up to grabs as the previous game. Vegas is right on their heels, so very important game to Dallas, right? But then we dig deeper. And I talked about this earlier in a game, and I talked about it last week. Tampa Bay owns Dallas. They have already beat them this year. They're 8-2 in the last 10 and 6-1 in Dallas, right? So to me, right away, the spot screamed to me Dallas because of that one-off. I like going against teams that are in that one-off, and especially the way Tampa Bay's been playing lately. So for us here, I would lean Dallas, but I'm going to have to pass because the way Tampa Bay owns these guys, right? And there is more pressure on Dallas, obviously, because they need to, they need to win. They don't need to win, but they do need to win, right? There's more pressure on them. So, but the over here looks good. They're 4-1 as a home dog at home. Dallas is. The over is 5-2 the last 7 for Tampa Bay. 6 isn't really a hard number to get to, especially with Tampa Bay not really having the interest in this game. If you ask me, they might play a little lackadaisical on defense. So give me the over here, and good luck to anybody that wants to take a side here, because it's a really tough handicap in our opinion.
Buster looking towards the over 6 in this one, staying off the side, expecting goals though between both teams in this one. And Carmine mentioned on yesterday's show, Dallas has done well in spots that they should win, especially against teams with records worse than them. But now they're playing a Tampa Bay team. Like I mentioned, they haven't been playing great hockey. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I released on Sunday Tampa Bay on the puck line against the Sabres, and I said, after 4 straight losses, that's not a big call. I just thought it was a get right spot for Tampa Bay, and they're now starting to gear up for the playoffs, where they coasted. And we talked about, again, I don't want to sound repetitive on this, but I talked about the last couple of years during the last month of the season that this is a team that went 10-9 2 years ago and 9-9 last year, and then went on to cups. They sort of coasted because they knew where they were going to finish. I think they want that number 2 seed. I have a feeling they want that number 2 seed, and we're going to see a much better Tampa Bay team over the last 10 games of the season. They're going to play 6 of those 10 games against non-playoff teams, 4 of them against playoff-bound teams. And you look at the Leafs, who are 4 points above Tampa right now with the same amount of games left. The Leafs have a schedule which is pretty much split, 5 playoff teams, 5 non-playoff teams, and they've got to do the Florida double. They've got to come down and face Florida and Tampa Bay again. So a good opportunity for Tampa to sort of flip the standings and get the home ice against the Leafs, where they might not have cared last year. I think if they're going to play the Leafs in the first round of the playoffs, they're going to want to have home ice advantage in that series. With that said, I think they hold over Dallas in this spot. I think they're a better team than Dallas. I think Dallas at the end of the day makes the playoffs, and I really want, if my Sims are correct, I really want to see Dallas and Calgary in the first round of the playoffs. I think that would be a phenomenal series. With that said, I'm going to take Tampa Bay. I'm going to lay this price of minus 140, 145. I'm not saying beating the Sabres is a way to jumpstart the last 10 games, but it is a win and a confidence-building win with a shutout as well, too. So I'm going to take Tampa to go into Dallas and get the win tonight.
I'll tell you what, guys, all this talk about the NHL playoffs has me super excited, and that matchup would be a great one, Carm. There's so many different matchups to look forward to, and this is the month where certain teams try and fight for spots, and certain teams, they try and play spoiler here in this one. So I can't wait for the playoffs, and lots of money to be made, though, before we jump into that. Buster, any more thoughts on that thought that I just said there? And we'll get a best bet from you on the show, and, of course, what you have up for grabs over at Sports Memo.
Yeah, I agree with you, Andrew. Can't wait for the playoffs. I can't wait to, as you said about fading Vegas there, there's a few other teams on my list that I'm looking forward to fading. Looking forward to actually even Carolina, as Carmine has mentioned. I think that you're going to see that team when they have to play a best 4 to 7 against teams. I think they have the advantage. So I'm looking for a Carolina team to do some damage in the playoffs this year. But that East is going to be great with Tampa Bay, of course, and Florida, and Carolina. As I don't mention the Leafs. As far as tonight, we actually have first time on the show this year on a Tuesday, unless we're the $2 Tuesday handicapper. We actually have a 5% NHL play up for tonight. We're hitting 80%, 8-2 our last 10 NHL 5% plays. And just so everyone knows, it's not a play that we've discussed today on this show. Also, we have a special. The NBA playoffs are starting, and since this is puck time as well, we have a package with our NBA, all the NBA playoffs, all the NHL up to the April 29th regular season, and NHL playoffs right up to the Stanley Cup. You can go to our page at Sports Memo and grab that for $2.99. You get every release, all 5% releases, which we're doing very well when we step out on those big plays. We just have a system that we use, and we only play those when it comes up. So that's what we have going over at Sports Memo. Also, it's $2 Tuesday, I believe. And I know you guys didn't mention it at all. I'm kind of surprised there, Andrew. You usually always mention that stuff. $2 Tuesday, just joking with you, buddy. $2 Tuesday at Sports Memo, but I believe they're going to be still doing that 3 for $5. So go over there, check that out at Sports Memo. Of course, our play for today, our play on the show, is going to be a first period puck line play. We're going to go with Nashville. First period puck line -0.5 plus 135. Nashville's beat San Jose twice this year. They just actually crushed them 8-0. They've got the jump on them both games this year. Got to believe San Jose's just kind of mailing it in. There's no chance for them to make the playoffs now. Nashville still need they have a good spot, but they still need to win. That West is wide open, and I know it's only 10 games, but we've seen teams go on runs. So that's our play. Nashville first period -0.5 plus 135. Best of luck to everyone out there, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Don Buster, always great to see you, and that's a great package. Every sport there, especially the NBA and NHL package, grab that over at Sports Memo from Buster. Don't just get one sport. Don't buy just one play. Grab the package. Get all the plays he does release. Best bet from Buster, Nashville first period -0.5 at plus 135. And yes, it is $2 Tuesday. Over at WagerTalk, Dave Smokin' Kokin has a baseball play. He is the baseball guy for many, many, many years. He has dominated that sport. You can grab his best bet today for only $2. So I appreciate the reminder there, Buster. Grab that. And, of course, like you mentioned, Sports Memo, it's the 3 for $5 deal. You get 3 handicappers for a great price. So, once again, I appreciate the reminder there from Buster. And, Carm, we'll go to you. And before I go to you, actually, because I know you don't bring up your stuff enough and you're a very humble guy, I want to mention, hey, Carm has a 5% play today in soccer. Buster has a 5% play today in the NHL. Grab both those. These guys are not going to sell themselves a lot, and I respect how humble they are, but those guys have crushed those types of plays. So best of luck to Buster with his 5%, and best of luck, Carm, to you with your 5% soccer play.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's I always talk about it's a long-term game, right? So and I always say you're never as good as your best weeks, and you're never as bad as your worst. And And a prime example is, the sort of the NHL over the last maybe 2 weeks had, over a 4 or 5 day span, 7 straight NHL wins. And then I go like 1-6 or 1-7 in NHL, and then 6 straight NHL wins. It's, I would much rather go 3-1 or 2-1 every single night with a positive ROI than these swings, because unfortunately, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, and we've almost gone full circle, if you rate a person on one day, you're not going to be happy when it's a losing day, and you're going to be overjoyed when it's a winning day. Try and get those 7-day ones. And, if you ever want a 7-day package on All Access, just reach out to me on social media, send me a DM, and I'll see what I can get coupon-wise for you, so you can rate a person over 7 days or 30 days or longer. With that said, Andrew, I'm going to go to the Pittsburgh and New York Islanders game here. I thought it was a much better effort from this Pittsburgh team last time out in beating the Nashville. They got that. They won that game in OT, and that was on the heels of 4 straight losses. But they were playing very tough teams. You played Colorado twice. They played the Rangers twice. The Capitals team that really impressed me on Saturday in beating Pittsburgh 6-3. They're getting the Islanders now, and the Islanders still play very, very well and very well defensively at home, and it's going to be 2 good goalies in Jari and Sorokin tonight. But I see the Pens getting the win here. You're laying a very short price with them in this spot. I don't mind laying 130. If it was higher than this, I'd probably stay off the game completely. I'm going to take Pittsburgh here, minus 130, to get the job done in New York tonight.
Awesome stuff. Carmine Bianco, WagerTalk.com. Penguins, minus 130, best bet. Real quick, guys, I also have a 5% play up. It's in the Major League Baseball today. It's an early game. Of course, like I mentioned, I did lose my $9 Monday play yesterday, but I love this spot. All Sports Run currently sits at 23-6. Number 1, 5% plays at WagerTalk last 365 days. Use the promo code MOUND3, MOUND 3, for 3-day all access for the price of 1. That's Mound 3. My best bet for today's show, keeping it on the ice, of course, is going to be, well, Carm mentioned Penguins full game. Give me the Penguins in the first period to get off to a great start at minus 120. A team that hasn't really played that well recently, but they've had some really tough matchups. I feel like they'll get up for this game here against the Islanders. It'll be a good get-right game for them. So to recap, the best bets on this show, the power plays, so to speak. Don Buster with Nashville, first period, minus a half, plus 135. Carmine, Pittsburgh, money line, minus 130. And I'm taking it in the first period with Pittsburgh, minus 120, first period money line. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I appreciate all of you. All of us have 5% plays. All of us have 7-day, 30-day, all kinds of packages you can find at our individual websites. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Lawrence Pressman joining us. Always a fun show. And Wager Talk today coming up right after this.
Baseball is back, and we want to celebrate by slashing the cost of any daily picks packages. That includes a baseball play by 50%, including 5% best bets. This amazing promotion runs from Thursday, April 7th, when 18 of the 30 MLB teams take part in opening day, to midnight on Wednesday, April 13th, and you can get $25 daily packages for $12.50, $29 daily combo packages for $14.50, $35 5% best bets for $17.50, and $39 5% best bet combo packages for $19.50. Whether you never bet on MLB or just like discounts, save 50% on baseball picks for the entire first week of the baseball regular season.